Greg, one call does it all, buddy.
That's right, Bill Brown Sales.
Got to go to billbrownsales.com. If you're a lighting manufacturer, they are probably the best partner you can have in the game.
Got every component you can imagine. They've been in business for over 60 years, and they're innovative solutions.
Hashtag one call does it all to Bill Brown Sales. Go to billbrownsales.com. We got some friends of the show here. We got Craig DeLuey from Light Now blog. Is that official? Is that official? Yeah, the official. And Mark Lean, of course, the industry relations manager from the IES. Welcome, guys.
Good to see you again.
Great to be here.
Yeah. So, what is strategies all about this year, Mark? What's the vibe? Like, what are people talking about more than anything else?
The market transformation.
Okay.
Where we are in the process. And I'd say that now we're early in the show, right?
Sure,
so there's only been 4 or 5 presentations so far. But if there's one central theme, common thread, that's it.
The transformation.
Yeah.
So, Jim Benya is talking about, Vision 2040 or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough speech to give, by the way.
It is.
But I would say, can you tell me what happened in the last 10 years? Like, never mind, the next 20. Like, what actually happened, to this industry over the last 10 years? It's incredible the amount of change that's happened, Craig DeLuey.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to sum all that up very quickly, but there's been a massive amount of change, and this is why I like Strategies in Light so much. This is a great show to try and take a pulse and see what's going to happen next, and also a reality check, because Mark and I are prognosticators, and so it's always great to get a reality check and see what's really going on and how people are reacting to these trends.
So what is the reality check you're getting so far?
That connected lighting is getting. There's still significant resistance to it. It's got a lot of benefits, features and benefits going for it. It has a great fit with the IoT, but it still has some hurdles that are inhibiting adoption, such as cybersecurity and so on. And then another trend line I'm seeing here is also circadian lighting. Is being taken more seriously, and there's a great debate going on as to whether this is something that is actionable right now. And
is it?
I believe roughly it is. Yeah, absolutely. But how much certainty can you say that with? It's
as much as you just did.
So I'll tell you, if Greg Eric, is standing in front of a customer next week and saying, hey man, I just got back from Strategies in the Light, and you're going to buy this $2,500 troffer right here, and you're going to put it in you're going to swap it all out, and we're going to put some wall mounted fixtures, and we're going to take care of you. I think that's when it's ready, and I don't see that right now. I see from either IoT, or circadian. I don't see the front lines really ready to roll with it.
Well, we're missing 2 things, and they're interrelated, and one of those is to substantiate the benefits.
Yeah,
we don't have research that's statistically relevant enough, a lot of anecdotal stuff, but we don't have the relevant research yet. So until we
what does that look like?
Well, I'll give you an idea, because there's a few projects going on right now. I walked around at Light and Build, and they had all this circadian stuff here, and I walked into the booths and I asked them what that was based on. And what I got was, we're working in a hospital. We have 6 patients, well, it's not relevant, right? Or if it's a university and it's only students and they're in a certain age bracket, right? We've got some issues here. We need to, somebody needs to put the money into the pot to do the research, to validate some standards, so we can start to come out with recommendations.
Right.
Now, the IES has a recommended practice coming out, but it's very difficult right now to get enough research to substantiate levels for population groups, and to establish what the benefits and perhaps the negatives may be within those particular groups. So the lighting industry could do it, and I think if they did it, they might own it, and that could be a salvation of the industry. But a lot of the circadian stuff is coming from outside our industry. It's coming from the telecoms, the electronics companies, and the internet companies. Samsung, on their website, is all over circadian lighting. And they had it at the Consumer Electronics Show last month in Vegas. They know what they're talking about. They don't have the standards. That's going to hold us up. Hopefully, they'll invest in the research. But then that's not coming from our traditional lighting players, is it?
But a big driver is the well building standard, though. There are a significant number of projects, and so these are owners who are saying, I'm going to adhere to this standard, so I want this. And the well building standard is attaching a value to providing it. And so the industry is stepping forward to say, okay, well, we can do this for you.
That's true. And the folks at Well they're very concerned of not leaping too far ahead of the science. So we're working with them. And we've got to actually, well, we got a couple of things we haven't announced yet, but we'll be working with.
Well, you're
Well
welcome to announce them here on the Get a Grip on Lighting
right.
live stream.
Start it out, Mark.
So, but so here's my concern. Okay, so UL comes out with a guideline. Okay, they have a guideline on the website.
Design guideline, not a recommended practice.
Correct.
They have a guideline, right? I have a concern, as a person waiting to know what to do on the front lines, like a guy who sells lighting every day. I want to be able to say, this is what you need to do. The Byzantine structure of lighting industry standards and regulations is a huge problem for this industry. You got so many different people working on this, and in some ways overlapping each other.
Oh yeah.
Writing different standards. Who do we follow? Who's the leader in circadian? Who's the leader? Who's going to be the one? UL's claiming a position here. IES has a position. DLC wants to make a comment. Well, building standards. LRC. Who's in charge?
Well, the committee that we
You
have,
like that question?
I do like that question. I want to hear what Mark has to say.
the committee that we have in place right now has Dr. George Brainerd from Thomas Jefferson as the chair, Stephen Lockley from Harvard, Mariana from RPI, Lighting Research Center, is on that committee as well. Jennifer Beach from Canada is on. So they're coming from different groups and organizations coming together to write it. So hopefully that will be a leadership document. And when we finally get that past the drafts point, it's at the draft point now. The draft is done. So it'll end up out for public review to be an ANSI standard. It'll have to go through some public reviews. Those take time too. But hopefully that'll be the first step. It won't be totally definitive, but it'll be the first step.
And then what about IoT? Who's in charge of that?
Well, I think that term's going to go away very quickly.
I like the IoT of things. That's my favorite term. Like adding the things on again twice.
Yeah.
The Internet of Things
indeed.
of Things.
Indeed.
Why? I think it should go to. What should be changed to? Connected.
Well, no. The point is that what happens is it's like autonomous vehicles. At some point, when they're all autonomous, you don't say it's an autonomous vehicle.
Sure.
It's just a vehicle,
Sure.
right? And when everything's connected to the internet, then it's not it's not an Internet of Things. It's just the internet.
The way it works.
That's the way it works. And IoT's in a pretty interesting, or the whole connected lighting, smart lighting,
Sure.
if you lump it all together. It's an interesting point right now because you've got a lot of companies, manufacturers, vying for the killer app that will control disparate devices in homes and businesses, right? But the biggest change we saw, and this was the buzz at Consumer Electronics Show, is the connected over home IP that Google, Apple, Amazon, IKEA are all part of. So they're going to have an open protocol, internet-based, IP-based protocol for controlling devices. And there's enough big players and money involved. Samsung, it's going through Zigbee, and Samsung's on the board of Zigbee. So you've really got a lot of the key people in place. That looks like it's got a lot of momentum right now to make a change to get this moving forward. But there's barriers. We were talking, Craig and I, about the barriers to this a little earlier, and there, there's a lot of barriers to have impeded the progress.
And you think that's a bus that lighting's going to have to ride on somebody else's bus, or maybe doesn't even get invited?
No, I think we'll get invited initially to provide the commodity products until this intermediation kicks in.
See, I think there's another interesting angle to me too. I think it really takes off. Like, the old Peter Drucker question: who is the customer? What does the customer want to buy?
Yeah.
Right. So the customer, to me, it's like the lighting is not the product you're going to be selling. That's going to be a default setting that has to go with the controls. And when the customer becomes the people that want the information, like, you ask, like, oh, who's Google's customer? Well, I'm Google's customer because I search on Google. No, you're the product of Google. You're what Google's selling, right? You're Facebook's product, not their customer. Their customer is the person purchasing Google AdWords or Facebook ads, right? I think when the proposition of the information is that the information is good and valuable, and that the companies are willing to deploy the controls for free in order to have the information. I think that's when you really see the cascade of it through the industry or through into down to people's homes.
Maybe, but
Maybe.
that infers that the customer will value that information.
Oh no, they're not the customer. I mean, the person that wants the information.
Who's ever paying for it?
Yeah.
Because we have to create a message that communicates the value, and that's held IoT back so far.
Yeah.
Because the customers wanted energy savings. When Kava
There's
did
no
that study.
grassroots interest in IoT. Okay, you go out and sell light
Right.
bulbs to a big factory, they're not asking you about connecting their lighting to the internet. They're not
No.
asking you about it. It doesn't happen.
They don't care.
Yeah, they're just like, what? Why would I do that?
We don't have a value proposition for them that has.
Is
stimulated
there a value proposition? Is a better question.
I think there is.
Yeah, I think potentially.
Yeah.
What do you see?
Well, I think that the IoT is going to, my feeling is the IoT is going to hit a wall. We look at it, we tend to look at these trends as when we were as futurists, we say, yeah, then everybody's going to this, and then everybody's going to that, and everybody isn't going to anything, right? It's like, Mark and I were just talking earlier, like with the LEDs, people are going to be probably buying, T12s for a very, very long time to come, even though by now everybody should be.
Sacco still ships a tractor trailer a month out of their Texas warehouse.
Yeah, so I look at IoT the same way. I think it has its market. I think it's going to saturate that market eventually, and we're all going to feel ripple effects from that. But I think that's going to be a certain type of market. It's going to be a big building market. And I think there's a lot of smaller buildings that are going to be able to take advantage of IoT type benefits that would be beneficial to them through a lighting control system. So if you can do, for example, space utilization, this is something that big properties will install, these sensor networks, and they put a lot of money and effort into being able to capture traffic flows and who's going where. With a lighting control system, you can get that through the occupancy sensors.
Sure.
And so this is a benefit of information that has typically been reserved to large properties. Now it's within the reach of small and medium properties through lighting control systems. So I think that kind of thing positions the lighting control system really well to, when we look at followers and leaders or riding the bus or driving the bus, I think that the network lighting control can drive the bus a little bit more in certain types of markets.
It's interesting. So you ever hear this, like, this old adage, humans are very slow to change. People don't change, right? That's actually wrong.
Mm-hmm.
People will change extremely quickly if the benefits are obvious,
Mm-hmm.
right? So a smartphone, everybody has a smartphone. Why? Because the benefits are so obvious to having a smartphone, so everyone has one, right? So people will change extremely quickly if it's obvious to them why they should do it and how much it costs and how much easier their life is going to be and so on and so forth. I don't think there's any there certainly isn't much additional energy benefits to, connected lighting than there is over just controls, like legacy controls. You can do most of what 90% or 95% of what you can do with connected lighting, you can do with a properly installed legacy control system.
But if
the energy story is no different. So what is the obvious benefit that to the end user that will make them move on this? I don't see it. I sell lighting every day, and I don't see why I should even bring it up with my customers.
Well, the question is it centralized or not? Connected lighting is an easy sell because you can get a package of fixtures, say, with controls, and it has pre-configured sequences of operation that are code compliant. So it's just easy. But it's a room-based control, and that's probably the majority of the systems that are being installed. So what we're really talking about is centralized network lighting control, right?
Yes.
And so, that's where the argument is less energy because you can get it from a room-based control system, and it's simpler, to be honest with you. And it's scaled to everybody because you don't need skilled facility operators to use it and understand it and so on. So it really is a specific type of market where you have an end user who gets it in terms of, I want to be able to see all this data coming out of it in a central place. I want to be able to control it from a central place. I want to be able to integrate it from a central place.
But for commercial, I can see the application.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, much quicker than residential. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Much quicker than with residential, because in the data is going to have value commercially as well, right?
Right.
So the data has an ROI.
Big
Right.
hurdle you're going to have with a lot of commercial properties have lighting control systems they don't use right now.
Oh yeah.
Like this, they just don't flat out you don't use it. They bought it and they don't use it. So you have like a legacy base installed out there. Maybe it's breaker based, maybe it's, whatever. And maybe they're not utilizing it to its full. So there's like this time is different story with IoT, right? In terms of it, but what is for the commercial? I mean, there's no additional, let's throw on the table, there's no additional energy savings benefits. Then why do it?
Well, that's interesting because CABA, the Continental Automated Building Association, they did a report specifically on this, 2018, I think, because smart lighting wasn't taking off the way the projections indicated that it would. And what they found is that manufacturers felt that their customers wanted all of these additional benefits of color tuning and being able to control it from a centralized app. But in fact, that customer, when they went to the customers and asked them what they wanted, the chasm was that the customers just wanted the energy savings.
Yeah.
That's not going to be there. But if commercial adopts it, then the economics of scale will bring the price down to where residential starts to make sense. And then manufacturers don't want to make multiple products. So we'll start seeing it ease into residential, but I don't see that happening first. We concur, Craig.
Yeah, I think so.
There you go.
But what about, where do you see that entry? Where do you see a centralized network lighting control breaking out in terms of end user demand? I know that a lot of stars have to align, like I was talking about with, skilled operator and someone who can understand the data and so on. But where would that application be? For me, I think it would be space utilization, where you have the medium tier of properties wanting the benefits of the type of information and systems that a large properties get. I could be wrong on that. Do you see a specific application, or?
Well, look at the leaders.
Is there something that if it was only a little bit different in the world, it would break out?
I think horticultural would be the most obvious place for connected lighting to me, where they could get information back on what the light fixtures are doing and, times that they're on. I think horticulture is the most obvious place to control lighting.
I think it's a good point,
because it's a manufacturing application, right? So your lighting is actually the manufacturing process in this case. So I think that to me is the most obvious point. The second would be local sports fields. Would be interesting, not the big ones, but the local sports fields where you have you want coaches to be able to control lighting. So the coach downloads an app for his phone. That would be another application where I think connected lighting makes a lot of sense right now, right out of the box. And just for on and off, for settings at local sports fields, that will be another application where I think it's really obvious that you could do it right now. Where else, Greg? What are you thinking?
I don't know. I mean, I see it really in every application being potential. That's what we're talking about. And I think
I see two accelerants coming though.
Yeah.
5G and Li-Fi.
There you go.
Okay.
So when those eliminate the latency periods, I think we're going to see more unification on products. But and Apple has a patent on Li-Fi for the phones. We've got a laptop maker already putting Li-Fi chips into phones. The airlines are looking at putting Li-Fi on there. So this is where lighting could play into it too, and that could help connect the whole system. But we need those missing things. We need better broadband coverage worldwide, and Tesla's working on that. Google's working on that right now. And then we need to get it faster and eliminate all the latency periods, and that'll also stimulate autonomous vehicles, because the latency period is what's going to kill them. It's probably the wrong term to use, but that's what's going to happen.
So, but these things are more accelerants for IoT than centralized lighting control, don't you think?
Yeah. But don't you see a common thread?
It could filter down, which it, as it usually does.
Yep.
But I would see that being, I think, more an accelerant for IoT.
I would agree.
Because right now you can give the data. Like, for example, with the occupancy sensor, it's like yes or no. That's it, 0 or 1. It's pretty easy to,
until quantum computing kicks in.
There you go.
You're bringing it all together, right?
This is why I wouldn't go on without him, because I'm the straight man, or I don't know. You're a straight man.
I don't know.
Okay, Mark Lee just throws quantum computing on the table. Take that, man.
Here's AI.
I surrender, man.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly an interesting time. We've come this is what I'm talking about when people say, what's going to happen in the next 20 years. Can you tell me what happened in the last 10? because the fact that we're having this kind of a conversation 10 years, it was 2010.
Yeah.
Okay. And now we're talking about connecting lighting to the whole internet and the whole world and 5G networks. You think about the amount of change that's happened. And I think, you know what? I think lighting might be the most interesting industry in the next 10 years for so many different reasons. The circadian story is one. The Li-Fi matrix story is another really interesting angle that, light could actually, why do you need a sensor? The light can be a sensor in a way. Can the light two-way Li-Fi send information, facial recognition? That's really deep, where they're going with that sort of thing. And so you're going this matrix idea. It's almost like the end times, when all will be revealed and recorded. You're a science fiction writer. Like if you were John on the Patmos Island back right in the, the book of Revelation, and somebody showed you TVs that watch you and Li-Fi enabled stuff. It kind of sounds like how he would describe it. We're entering this age of almost total, entering a matrix-like lifestyle in our lifetimes. That's on the table, man.
Oh yeah, and light plays a part in that.
Light could be it, actually.
Well, it's the driver. I mean, even inside of our bodies, it's micro bursts of light that control cell structure. So this is
we are creatures of the light.
We are indeed creatures of the light. Thank you.
We are.
Sometimes I need to be reminded.
Well, it's funny because I think that the lighting science is actually at once spiritual and a science. Like when they dig, like I was talking with Jennifer and it occurred to us that we're kind of like fish figuring out we're in water right now with light.
Yeah. Well, now you're back to your matrix concept.
Yeah. I mean, but it's really there, it's like there's a lot of indications that even the guy from BIOS was saying this morning that the circadian recognition cell or whatever, what was he calling it?
Yeah, it was something about
it. It was like some sort of DNA cell. All life has it.
Yes.
Like from the smallest phytoplankton through to elephants and us, we all have this circadian rhythm related to light. Well, then is that not discovering life itself, like what life is in a way? Like life is circadian rhythms. Maybe that's what it is. You understand?
Yeah, there's a book on that.
Is there?
Yeah, Yuval Harari.
Was it written by Mark Dean?
No, Yuval Harari.
Sapiens?
Yeah.
Is it Sapiens?
He talked about everything being an algorithm. Life is an algorithm.
Interesting.
I took issue with some of the premise, but in many cases it fits.
Yeah, it does. I mean, when you think about like math being the language of God and all these sorts of things that people say, it's like, how did they get to the moon with calculus? Right? Like, did they invent calculus or did we just discover it? You understand what I'm saying? Like there's different ways of looking at these types of things.
So when we sat down, we thought we were going to talk lighting and metaphysics.
Well, it'd be like a lot of these descends into this Eve's apple stuff, like light, like unto God sort of situation.
It does. Well, it's part of what makes this industry so compelling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the breadth is astounding.
It really is actually. And just what happened in the last 10 years, and now trying to think where are we going to be? Are we going to be virtually here in 10 years through a light
with a holodeck?
Like, exactly. Like that's on the table, man.
Yeah.
That's not that ridiculous to say that we're all going to be at Strategies in Light, but we're not really going to be there. Just our what do you call those things? Our
avatars. So how the hell did we get to this point and not even know how light affects people, plants, and animals?
It's unbelievable, really, to think about it.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, why wasn't that a priority?
It was assumed. It's one of those things that
I always took it for granted.
Yeah, it's taken for granted, for sure.
Yeah, but we found
that light and circadian rhythms are linked, and we all know how this works. Like I just assumed that.
I used to teach it, but now I found that all the stuff I was teaching, right? Right.
Isn't that a wonderful feeling?
Photocells, and I mean,
but it's wonderful to figure out that you're wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's so wonderful, actually.
Forces questions.
Yeah.
Right. Or denial. I've been choosing the questions lately, but the denial may come.
Yeah, it's like that's when you got to get out of your ego, right? Yeah. It's an ego space.
Yeah.
That space where it's like you're not willing to look, but the noise is so loud, and you talk to people like we're hoping to get Deborah Brunette on.
Okay, good.
Okay, and she's one of my favorites that walks this path of what lighting is, from a perspective, and I think if we figure it out, we figure out the secrets of the universe, actually.
If you can do that on this show, man, I'm telling you, there's a future for it.
One call, folks. It's one call. One call does it all. Go to getagriponlighting.com. No, Bill Brown Sales.
Bill Brown Sales.
Go to Bill Brown Sales. Thanks to Craig DeLuey and Mark Lean, guys. That was
Thanks.
fun.
Thank
as
you.
heck,
Cheers.
man.
Thanks,
We
John.
want to keep these ones a little bit shorter. We could probably keep going for
No, it's
another hour,
good.
but man, that was fun as heck. So thanks to those two guys. And of course, you, the listener, go to BillBrownSales.com if you're a lighting manufacturer and you need components. One call does it all. Don't forget it. Thanks for listening.